Snow-covered mountains stretched endlessly as the sun dipped behind the ridges, casting long shadows across the valley where sisters Alara and Mara rode silently toward the cabin of the feared mountain man. Alara, known as the beautiful sister, held her head high, believing destiny bent toward her charm. Mara kept her eyes lowered, aware of how often people looked through her as if she didn't exist. Tonight, their father had sent them here for safety, but deep down, Mara sensed that this journey would decide far more than shelter. The wind's bite felt like a warning whispered only to her. Alara was used to admiration. Every village gathering circled around her, her laughter, her golden hair, her confidence polished by constant praise. Mara, in contrast, blended into the background, her quiet nature mistaken for weakness. Even their father often introduced Alara first, as if she alone carried worth. As they approached the mountain man's cabin, Alara rehearsed smiles, imagining how he would fall instantly for her. Mara simply prayed she wouldn't embarrass herself. She didn't know why she felt a strange pull toward the cabin's warm glow, as if someone inside already understood her shadows. The mountain man, Rowan Hale, was rumored to be carved from the same rugged stone as the peaks he lived among. Strong, solitary, and terrifyingly honest, he rarely came down to the village. Some said he rejected beauty because it distracted. Others whispered he carried scars deeper than the forest roots. When he stepped out of the cabin to greet them, snowflakes settled on his dark beard, and his eyes, steady and unreadable, moved from one sister to the other. Alara smiled widely. Mara held her breath. Rowan's expression didn't change, but something in the air did. Rowan extended a hand. Not toward Alara, as everyone expected, but toward Mara. She blinked, unsure whether to step forward. "You look cold," he said, quietly but sincerely. Alara's smile faltered for the first time. Mara nodded shyly and placed her trembling hand in his. The warmth surprised her. She wasn't used to being noticed, let alone cared for. Rowan guided them inside the cabin, unaware of the storm inside Alara's chest. A fire crackled, filling the room with soft golden light. Mara felt strangely safe. Alara, meanwhile, scanned Rowan's face for the admiration she'd expected. Rowan prepared food with calm efficiency, asking Mara whether she preferred herbal tea or warm milk. Alara interrupted with forced laughter, trying to pull his attention back to herself, bragging about her skills, her beauty, her popularity. But Rowan only nodded politely, never lingering on her words. When he passed Mara the steaming cup, his fingers brushed hers gently, accidentally, perhaps, but it sent a quiet warmth deep into her bones. Mara wondered why her heart reacted this way. She'd never believed a man like Rowan would look at someone like her. As the storm strengthened outside, the wind howled like a wounded animal. Inside, Rowan checked the windows, making sure they were sealed. Alara tried again to pull him into conversation, complimenting his strength and offering help she didn't intend to give. Mara watched quietly as Rowan fixed a crack in the cabin wall. For a moment, light flickered across his face, revealing a haunted weariness. Mara recognized it instantly, pain hidden beneath silence, a loneliness familiar to her. Something inside her softened, not with pity but understanding. When Rowan finally sat near the fire, Mara remained on the small wooden bench, unsure whether she should join him. Alara didn't hesitate. She placed herself right beside him, too close, her hand brushing his shoulder. Rowan shifted slightly away. "There's space for everyone," he said in a neutral tone. Mara blushed, stood to move, but Rowan raised a hand gently. "Stay, you're comfortable there." Mara hesitated, then sat across from him, her heart thudding. Alara's jaw clenched, sensing a shift she could not control. Rowan began telling them about the storm, that it would last through the night, that leaving before morning was dangerous. Alara dramatized her fear, clutching his arm theatrically. Rowan calmly removed it. "You're safe here," he said, but the reassurance was directed at Mara. Mara lowered her gaze, cheeks warm, emotions tangled between disbelief and gratitude. She wasn't used to anyone choosing her, especially against Alara's shining presence. Rowan's eyes held no pity, only honesty and an inexplicable familiarity she didn't yet understand. As night deepened, Rowan noticed Mara shivering slightly. Without hesitation, he handed her a thick fur blanket. Alara protested loudly, claiming she was colder, but Rowan simply said, You have the fire beside you. Mara wrapped herself in the fur, feeling its comforting weight. She didn't understand why Rowan paid attention to details others ignored. Her quiet voice, her trembling hands, her hesitant smile. It felt like he saw parts of her she'd long hidden even from herself. Alara's irritation grew sharp. She stood, pacing the cabin like a restless cat, occasionally glancing at Rowan, hoping he would glance back. He didn't. His focus remained on preparing more firewood, sharpening tools, readying the cabin for the night. Mara noticed a faint limp in his left leg. "Are you hurt?" she asked softly. Rowan paused, surprised. "Old injury," he replied. Alara had never noticed the limp. She never looked long enough to see flaws. Mara did. Rowan seemed unsettled by how quickly she caught the truth he'd hidden from others. When Rowan stepped outside to check the animals, the storm roared fiercely. Mara worried instinctively. Alara rolled her eyes, calling it unnecessary. Minutes later, Rowan returned coated in snow, his breath harsh from the cold. Mara rushed to offer him a towel. Alara hesitated, remembering too late that she should have been the one caring. Rowan accepted the towel from Mara with a faint, appreciative nod. In that moment, Alara sensed something slipping, something she felt entitled to, now drifting toward her overlooked sister. Tension thickened as silence wrapped around the room. Mara sipped her tea quietly, still wrapped in the fur. Rowan sat across from her, gaze steady yet gentle. Alara finally broke, snapping, "Why are you treating her like she's special?" Rowan turned to her, expression unreadable. "Because she is." Mara froze. Alara's face drained of color. Rowan continued, "Strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's carried quietly, with far more weight." Mara felt tears rise unexpectedly. No one had ever spoken of her that way. Alara stormed toward the bedroom, slamming the wooden door behind her. The sound echoed through the small cabin like a crack in old glass. Mara apologized instinctively, but Rowan shook his head. "You didn't do anything wrong." Mara lowered her gaze, overwhelmed. Rowan's voice softened even more. "You carry yourself as if you expect to be overlooked. But you deserve to be seen." Mara's throat tightened, emotions she'd buried for years stirring painfully. She wanted to believe him, but fear held her back. Rowan stood slowly, the firelight painting warm gold across his broad silhouette. He stepped closer, but stopped a respectful distance away. "You're safe here, Mara," he said quietly, as if promising something deeper than shelter. Outside, the storm raged violently, but inside, something else unfolded, something fragile, unexpected, and terrifyingly real. Mara's heartbeat echoed in her ears. No one had ever chosen her before. And though she didn't know what tomorrow would bring, one truth settled gently within her. Rowan saw her, truly saw her. Morning arrived quietly, the storm finally exhausted. Light seeped through the frosted window, painting soft blue over the cabin walls. Mara woke early, her mind still tangled with Rowan's words from the night before. She rose slowly, careful not to disturb Alara, who slept restlessly, clutching her blanket like a shield. When Mara stepped outside, cold air stung her cheeks. Rowan stood near the woodpile, splitting logs with steady, powerful strikes. He glanced up at her, not startled, just acknowledging, as if he'd been waiting for her. Mara walked toward him, hesitant but drawn by something she didn't yet have a name for. Rowan studied her expression. "You slept?" he asked. "Better than I expected," she admitted. He nodded gently. A moment passed, calm and unforced. Mara surprised herself when she said, "Thank you, for last night." Rowan rested the axe against the stump. "You don't need to thank me for seeing you," he replied. Mara's heart trembled at the sincerity in his voice, wondering how someone so guarded could still speak with such clarity. Inside the cabin, Alara woke to find the world not revolving around her for the first time. Frustration burned inside her. She had always been wanted, desired, admired, yet Rowan had barely noticed her, as if beauty itself no longer mattered. Storming outside, she approached Rowan with a confident sway. "I suppose you need help," she said sweetly. Rowan simply replied, "Mara already offered." Alara stiffened. For once, charm didn't open doors. Mara glanced nervously between them, guilt heavy in her chest. Rowan, however, stayed firm, refusing to allow arrogance to guide his choices. Alara followed Mara inside, her eyes sharp, her voice trembling between anger and disbelief. "What did you do to make him choose you?" she demanded. Mara flinched. "Nothing," she whispered. "Exactly," Alara snapped. "You did nothing, yet he looks at you like you matter." Mara's throat tightened. "Maybe that's the point," she said quietly. Alara stared as if she'd been struck. Beauty had always been her armor. But now, in Rowan's mountain home, admiration did not belong to her by default. It was earned in ways she'd never learned. Their father arrived by afternoon, riding hard through melting snow, fear etched into his features. He barged into the cabin, relief spilling out when he saw both daughters safe. But when Rowan explained how the storm forced them to stay the night, the father insisted they return immediately. Rowan didn't argue, but there was an unspoken tension between him and Mara. She felt it like a thread pulling, stretching, refusing to break. Before leaving, Rowan handed Mara a small leather pouch. "For the road," he said. She didn't open it. She didn't need to. She already felt its meaning. The journey back was heavy with silence. Alara sat tall, refusing to look at her sister. Mara held the pouch tightly, feeling its warmth through her gloves. That night at home, curiosity overcame her. Opening it carefully, she found a hand-carved wooden bird, simple, imperfect, beautiful. Beneath it lay a small note. "When you're ready to return, this will guide you." Mara traced the delicate carving with trembling fingers. No one had ever given her something made specifically for her, not out of pity but out of attention. Days passed, yet Rowan's words echoed in Mara's thoughts more loudly than her own fears. She found herself wandering outside at dusk, staring toward the mountains. Alara watched her from a distance, confusion softening into something quieter, something like realization. One evening, Alara approached her. "Why you?" she asked softly, not angrily this time. Mara's eyes glistened. Maybe he saw what no one ever bothered to look for. Alara lowered her gaze. "Then I envy you," she whispered. For the first time, the sisters stood not as rivals, but simply as two women struggling with their own wounds. Their father announced a village festival approaching. Alara immediately prepared to reclaim her place among admirers, using beauty as her weapon. Mara wasn't planning to attend, until she remembered the wooden bird. Something inside urged her to go, though not for attention. She wanted clarity. She wanted truth. She wanted to know if Rowan's feelings had been momentary kindness or something deeper. She wore a simple blue dress, nothing flashy, yet it felt more honest than anything she had worn before. The festival bustled with music, laughter, and lanterns glowing against the dark sky. Mara stood quietly near the edge, clutching the bird in her pocket. Alara twirled near the fire, gathering admirers effortlessly, yet even she seemed distracted, glancing toward the mountain road repeatedly. Mara didn't expect Rowan to appear, until a hush spread across the crowd like rippling water. He emerged from the shadows, coat dusted with snow, eyes searching only for one person. Mara's breath caught as Rowan walked straight past the crowd, stopping in front of her. "You came," Rowan said, voice low but certain. "Your note asked me to," Mara replied, heartbeat racing. Rowan held out his hand, not demanding, but asking. "I meant every word I said in that cabin," he murmured. "I saw strength in you. Kindness. Truth. Things rare and real." Mara looked up at him, her eyes bright with disbelief turning into hope. "I'm still afraid," she admitted. Rowan's expression softened. "So am I." And somehow, that made everything easier. Alara watched from a distance. For the first time, she understood something she had never needed to learn. Love wasn't a trophy handed to the most dazzling person. It was a quiet recognition between two souls who fit. She swallowed her bitterness, replacing it with a strange peace. Stepping forward, she whispered to Mara, "If you choose him without fear." Mara squeezed her hand gently. Alara's eyes glistened, but she managed a genuine smile, a fragile but necessary beginning. Rowan led Mara away from the festival lights, toward the tree line where the world felt quieter. Snowflakes drifted lazily through the air. "I didn't choose your sister because she was beautiful," Rowan said. "I chose you because you listened. Because you saw me." Mara felt tears build, warm against the cold night. "And you saw me," she whispered. Rowan took her hands in his, holding them slowly, carefully, as if afraid they might disappear. The moment felt fragile yet unbreakable. He pulled something from his coat. A second wooden carving, the same bird, but this one carved more carefully, wings open as if ready to fly. "This one is for when you decide where your home is," Rowan said quietly. Mara's breath shivered. "Where do you want my home to be?" she asked. Rowan's answer was simple, steady, almost reverent, "Beside me." "If that's what you want too." Mara nodded, tears slipping silently. For once, her heart wasn't afraid. It was certain. The mountains rose behind Rowan like silent witnesses as Mara stepped closer, resting her forehead against his. In that quiet space, she felt everything she had never allowed herself to feel: being chosen, being seen, being enough. The festival music faded, leaving only the sound of their breaths mingling in the winter air. Mara whispered, "I choose you." Rowan wrapped his arms around her, not claiming her, but welcoming her. And for the first time, Mara understood. The man everyone feared had chosen the sister everyone overlooked, not out of pity, but out of love deep enough to change both their lives forever.